Got the ballot box for tomorrow?
Yeah, that's the ballot box. That's what we're using. Can't counting everything.
Did we lose Armin?
Yeah.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
I saw a truck driving away. I was like, I don't know, I think he's gone. So I'm just don't you know where my.
See the minutes of our non-public session as it involves ongoing personnel issue.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
For Sean.
Kathleen, I.
Diane, aye?
Scott. Joining us in the room after our non-public session,
Louise Rideout.
I believe.
Chris Fowler. Peter DeSantis, facility supervisor.
Chad Pellissier, road agent.
That's our police chief.
Nice way.
It's been cold up there.
All right, to citizens' comments. Anyone have any citizens' comments?
I hope there's a good turnout tomorrow. I hope we can make this work. Any suggestions from any of you to, like, you know, I know a lot of people, I do believe people are gonna go out and vote. I do believe it. I'm hoping. But any suggestions of like the default budget to the budget? I mean, any kind of educated kind of like. Because we see a lot of things happening, which is great, like, you know, things are moving around in the town with Overshawn, with the McDonald's coming, and so that's progress. It was good to see progress. But I don't know if like, you know, anybody has any suggestions?
It's up to you guys.
But you know, it's hard to,
Our
you wanna
vote
make
is
it
shown
educated.
on the ballot itself, it says a recommendation. And you will notice it says 3 recommended the budget and 2 didn't. Trish and I did not recommend the proposed budget. The other 3 board members did, so that may help you.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's up to the voters who will.
But don't always, like the default budget, it seems like you'd have to play catch up with things with the default budget or.
Not necessarily.
No, that depends on how it's done for. Yeah.
What does it mean by unassigned funds?
That's leftover money at the end of the year that we didn't have to spend. So it's unassigned fund balance that didn't go towards the budget for that year.
So what type of an account is that put in, like the capital reserves or?
Typically, it just stays in unassigned. It's up to the board to decide what they're gonna do with that money. So if we wanna put it in a capital reserve account, the voters have to approve that. So what we would do in anticipation of that, we'd be looking at our books and say, oh, we're slated to have, you know, 75,000, we should have left over. We'll do warrant articles asking the voters if we can put 25,000 in this account and 25 in this. And the voters have to approve that. The other thing the board can do with it is buy back taxes. I am not a fan of that. I would never vote to buy back taxes, but
What does that
some
mean?
board
I'm not
members.
sure what that means.
So they would put it towards the taxes, kind of making it less of an impact on the voters, so it lowers the tax rate. They'd be putting that money in, so it's less that has to be raised the following year.
The school did that one year, if I remember correctly.
And this board did it maybe 2 years ago, I think they put 100,000, 2 or 3 years ago, this board put 100,000 in. And it really messes with the voters, because when you do that, they don't see the impact of the things they voted for, they get a false sense of security. Then the following year, if that money is not there to buy back, or a new board decides they don't wanna do that, it can artificially inflate their perception or of the numbers.
You
that
can
they
keep
see.
rolling it, so it's not like it has to be spent that budget year. Can you keep it in that account and like add to it
We're
every year?
actually supposed to keep a certain amount. We wanna do a good job budgeting to begin with. The point is not to keep building up that account. We should not be holding on to all
Right,
kinds of
and
money
I
we don't
agree,
need.
I agree.
We do wanna keep a certain threshold balance in there in case something happens, if there is an emergency and we overspend our allotted budget, we wanna be safe. To me, my favorite thing to do with that I am a strong proponent of is funding those capital reserve accounts, because those help us down the road. We've already collected the money. It's just a good savings account to prepare for tomorrow. I'm a much larger fan of that than I am of the revolving funds. I
Well,
think
with
capital
the-
reserve
The
accounts.
current economic country right now. I mean, I was thinking today, I said, boy, between the police department and the fire department, just the cost of fuel is, gonna impact their budget. And, I'm hoping that this budget can cover everything, so we all have to work together, that's the bottom line.
Yep.
And nobody can think they can have everything, we have to make it work for us.
Yep.
But thank you for your hard work, it is much appreciated.
And if you wanna see more details, if you haven't already looked in the voter's guide, that gives you a lot of good information about what is planned within those budgets.
Which is great, that's, I live in a co-op, so we have the same type of board of directors and capital reserve and all of that stuff that,
Do you have a voter's guide?
right, no, I don't.
I get it, put it right out there.
So if you're able left there. Sorry, I'm saying you didn't make me on, I didn't think to offer you.
It's okay.
That's how.
I'm old and sometimes I'm not that good online.
So now you have some bedtime you need tonight before you vote.
Yeah, it's okay, I need it. I won't put me to sleep, that's okay.
You also have town reports in there, if you haven't gotten one of those.
We have come in to get like the budget and things like that, I have done that. Between the co-op and the town, it's like, it's like, you try to keep everything straight, it's because the co-ops, we have all the same, we have meetings and we have votes and everything. But I think this is a big vote and I do appreciate everything that everybody does. It's a nice town for living, it's nice and it's nice to see some progress being made.
Thank you, Louise.
Yeah, thank you for your questions.
Anybody else? All right. We've only got one regular agenda item tonight. John, are you gonna handle that, or is that gonna be Peter?
Sure, new town hall update, not too much since the last time, the contractor's in building all the walls, they're all done, vestibule, 8 interior walls, and the 2 vestibule, the kitchen wall. Those are, I'd say halfway through the papers, the drywall people are coming in Wednesday after, well, they wanna come tomorrow, but I said, no, not for 2 days. So they're coming Wednesday, they'll start doing that, by the end of the week, I think they're gonna be done with that, and then we need to paint those walls, and we got a couple classrooms we can paint. He
Yeah.
started on the customer counter for a town clerk, so we got a plan laid out, we had some discussion, but I think it's gonna be nice. We had civil engineering, looking at the lintels for the doorways, got a couple ideas, so we're gonna probably have to do something with those on some of the doorways.
Well, you know what a lintel is?
Sorry.
No.
So basically, when we cut out some of the concrete block. When we cut out some of the concrete block, we have to put a piece of steel in there to support that block that's above that. Some are load bearing walls, some are not load bearing, so depending on the walls, depending on, we need that steel beam in there on that plate. So we didn't really account for that, so we have. Yeah, exactly. You know,
If there's too much weight, it will weigh down on the.
Over time.
And the door won't work.
Yeah, over time. So we're kind of really stepping back and making sure we're doing things correctly the first time. There's a lot of little issues. Right now, we calling Lori and the fire department's like, coach, do we need to do this? Cause so and so says we do this or that, and he's like, yeah, that's the new code, so. I mean, everything is gonna be up to code, current code, we had a meeting, I think this was before the last meeting with the architect again. Going through the bathrooms again, he's working on some plans for that, the outside ramp. So I think we're moving ahead, and I really think after we get these walls done. And then we go back to the vendor for the interior doors, once you get that done. We're gonna be in good shape other than bathrooms, I've got another quote for the railings today. Which I'll share with John on the committee next week. So we should be able to move on that. On
Sounds
the interior
very good.
railings.
So I know we kind of talked tentatively the fall would be
Right.
the move-in time. Are plans being made for the move? Because that can get very, detailed and, so to do a couple
The actual
rounds of
move?
moved.
Yeah.
And they realized in their planning to move, they didn't plan everything. and like internet wasn't route.
Yeah, so
At the
we,
right time,
we
things
also
like
had a
that.
meeting in the last week with AV gentleman. Tim, to set up the conference room, cause. I think this system is going in a small conference room, in the large conference room, we're gonna have a new system. Which I think will take care of a lot of the problems we've had, I know in the Facebook forums, a lot of people are. Complaining about the quality of that, and I think we've decided, or we haven't really got to the committee with that yet, but. John and I have talked about it, it's important, I think, to get a decent system in there that would, that can bring the voters.
Yeah.
In the.
Chris, to
That's
your
great,
point,
I think.
phone
it needs
system
more
and cable
efficient
system.
Moving of everything, making sure everything's in
Yes.
place when people are ready to
So-
go to their new desk.
To your point, yes, that will be.
Yeah, that plan is. being-
Yeah, exactly, and I think a lot of.
Laundry list.
A lot of that is because I think we're gonna be having some either newer systems or we're not really taking it, I don't think. A lot of systems from here, if we don't have to, into there, because even though a lot of the stuff we have here is already. Older or outdated, and it's probably better to set it up fresh. And newer at the time, or again, it's up to budget and that, whatever. And I've got, over the last few months, I've got probably 6 or 8 desks and file cabinets and stuff for free. That I'm hoping that we can set up these offices with newer desks than what they have here. And get it set up so when actual move day comes, they just take the personal items from one desk and move it in. And as we get closer, I'd like to have the users of these offices come in and say,
I'm gonna say,
where do you want your desk? Like, I'll put it where you want it and get their feedback, what they need, so that when we get closer. A lot of the stuff is already gonna be done and set up, so I'm hoping.
you should definitely consult with each of the.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, we've already had some in already. Yeah, we've already had some in already, and as we get closer, like, we're walking, you want a whiteboard over there, you need, that type of things. These are all the file cabinets we have, like I've already brought a couple of them in and say, here's all the desks, which one do you like? Oh, I like that one, okay, so we'll do more of that as we get through. The next few phases, but, I think.
It comes quickly.
Well, I was thinking, you talked about September, I'm like, I'm sorry, March, September's not that far away. So, yeah, we're moving ahead, I think we've got a lot of major things done. I think we're in good shape, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did a nice job cleaning the kitchen.
Yeah, I
It
was.
was an absolute disaster.
Well, we're using that as our catch-all.
Paint
Paint, so, yeah,
Oh, looks great. Did a nice
Keith
job.
Claus was in tonight, I met him over there, with, Ron, there's all the food's in there, and.
Yeah.
We're all set for tomorrow too, it's gonna be good.
Chad was not on the agenda, but he has a couple of things, if you're willing to entertain them.
Please. First one is, I need you guys is okay for, posting roads. I'd like to post them tomorrow. And I put it off because you guys have to. But if you're all good, we'll post the local roads, Jessica, everybody, blah, 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 around the same thing in the normal ones we usually do.
Talk about just allowing him to do
Right,
this last year without you.
Yeah, I thought you told that you could just do.
When's their legislation that said?
I just know that you guys do, I don't know.
Probably safer to do it every year, I know.
This week, now, I'm gonna have to be,
Yeah.
if I feel like legislation might.
And I mean, in that part, this is, I would have posted last Thursday.
Well, I'll make
Had I
a motion,
known.
yeah.
You know
I'll
what I
make-
mean?
like, well, this is the discussion I remember having last year, that we don't know when winter's gonna end, when the roads are gonna start getting like this, and you having the authority to just move forward with that.
Okay, so I'm just gonna post them from now on and I'll let you guys know. I'll let you guys know after, or the next meeting
And we'll
after.
look back on this meeting and say it was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel, well,
Everybody-
I feel like we did do this before, but I will make a motion to allow the road agent to post the roads.
I'll second that.
All in favor,
Tricia, Kathleen, I.
Diane,
Scott.
Perfect. The second one is hoping that the, everything goes okay for the transfer station warrant article tomorrow. I would rather rather not do an RFP. I'd rather just put out what we're looking for to the vendors that are in the area that are gonna handle that type of thing.
Well, what's the reality of other vendors even, you know?
I mean, there's
I mean,
there's
Probably
probably,
exclude somebody and find out
Yeah.
later.
there's probably two that might consider it.
Yeah.
And two being a lot, other than the one that we already talked to. So I'd rather just reach out to them, I think we can get something quicker. And it'd be a lot less work than having to put an RFP together and wait 30 days and not just money and then. And if we put an RFP together, I mean. You know, it would probably end up having to let people know that the RFP is out there in order to, because it's not something that happens, you know, the paving guys know the RFP comes out every January, they look for those RFPs, this will be one that goes out there. Nobody would ever hear.
So to clarify, you'd be reaching out to what, 3?
Yeah, 3 or 4 vendors that would, you know, that are large enough to handle something like this, you know, and local guys, and then. See what we get for bids back.
I'll trust your judgment on who the.
I mean, there's only so many players in the game, that's the thing, you know, I mean.
Well, no matter who we pick, they pretty much go dump in one location anyway, right?
Right, and all in the same spot, and
Yeah.
I mean, the numbers we got were from this guy that owns the spot.
Yeah.
So I don't know that we'll get anything better,
Yeah.
but I think in fairness, we should open it up, you know.
Do pass this, they're going to be ancient for it to happen quicker.
Right, and this will
So.
move along the process,
Okay.
so if everybody's good with that, I mean.
Would we be prepared to say a date that it could be open at this point? I don't know if people are gonna wanna know, right?
I think it's gonna take a month, would be my guess. I mean, I
Maybe
think.
around
either
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So.
I think
By
mid
late April.
to late April will
Yeah,
probably be
yeah.
all set if it does pass.
I think as long as we're giving them some semblance of a time frame, they're not gonna be like, oh, I'm not, they're not gonna be there, they're dragging their feet.
Right, no, and I kinda figured that would be the problem. You know, I kinda always thought that by May 1st we should be good, but hopefully sooner. You know, and it's just a matter of,
By May 1st.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's logistics for them. Is what happens, you know, I mean, somebody's gonna find us all the dumpsters we need.
Yeah.
You know, and then work us into a route. So. If we're good with that, I'll go forward with that.
Okay.
Okay? The last thing was, and
Do we need to make a motion on that?
Probably should. I'll make a motion that we allow the road agent to avoid the RFP for potential trash contract if warrant article 23 passes.
Second that,
All in favor?
Krishan,
Kathleen, I.
Diana,
Scott.
last one I have is, a new hire for the highway department. That open position that's been open since November. We kind of muddled through the winter without it, but the problem will be is this summer. If we don't get somebody by summer, I don't have enough guys to actually run it through safely on the road. I just don't have enough guys for flagging. Be in the hole, to be in the truck, to be in the equipment, to, you know, I just run out of guys before. Cause right now I have 4 full-timers besides me. So it just.
that's it. Awful. And you-
Yeah. Yeah, it just doesn't leave us the manpower to do what we need. So in order to save the budget, we kind of took on a little bit of extra. As far as the plowing went, our routes went a little longer. And this was probably a bad year to do that considering the amount of storms we got, but the guys muddled through it and we're hopefully at the end of that.
how's
So-
our overtime? Salary line.
I haven't seen it lately, have you noticed? I'm sure it's pretty close to. Right there. I think those, I don't remember last time I looked at it.
Just if I stop and say
I
that.
don't think they've had a weekend off.
I know, this
Yeah,
one also.
I know we're over on sand,
Yeah,
I believe we're under in salt still. Yeah.
I know in Hooksett, they think, at least 93,000 over on the overtime.
Yeah, and if you looked at, and ours isn't that bad,
No.
it's never that big,
It's not
thank
as
God.
Yeah.
It's that we tell us,
comparatively,
Yes.
it's not so small.
Yeah.
So,
and I think we went over last year and I expect to be over this year again. But it's one of those lines, if you look at that paperwork I sent you, I'm expecting it to be over. And it is because it is what it is. So as far as this, I tried to see you twice today going around. We did the interviews last Thursday, I think we found a good candidate. And I'd like to move forward pending the background check and driving record. Yeah. If that's okay. What do you need for information?
Name and wage.
Name is Alex. Alex Silva. And the starting wage would be $20.50. I believe that's whatever step, I think it's
Is it on
step 5-2,
5-2?
I would be so.
Be the higher date, expected higher date.
I would like to, he's gonna give 2 weeks, so I would say the 23rd, I think is when he kind of quickly said it.
Silva.
Yeah.
Those box. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that would be 2 Mondays. So. He was waiting for this meeting to make sure you guys all said yes before he gave a notice,
Yeah.
so.
So I'll work with you tomorrow and do the PAR.
I have one, I can fill it out.
Okay,
I got.
and then I'll have to wait on the 23rd.
Sounds good.
Go over to sign it electronically.
You could,
Yeah.
yeah, well, it goes to the chair, so,
Right.
yeah. If you wanna vote for it tonight,
Yeah.
then I'll forward it to whomever is gonna be saying. So, motion,
Sorry, I don't know details.
Alex Silva.
Yeah.
Starting at $20.50. Grade 5, step 2. Start date of 3/23.
3/23.
Oh, yes,
I moved.
I know, I was watching you and I was like, say something.
So moved, I could say.
What's all in favor?
Trisha.
Kathleen and I.
There you go.
Stuff.
Perfect.
She's got me very good at it.
I've already tried to do, and it was wasn't even thinking about it.
And I think that's all I have. Please, whatever you do.
Thank you.
Pray for no more snow.
Yeah.
Or ice.
What else is so tomorrow?
Right, God, I know.
Just a few announcements, 2 corrections, for the warrant articles. Thank you, Kathleen. Warrant article number 23, it had to do with the 2 warrant articles that were amended at the deliberative session. I neglected to change the estimated tax impact. And as I explained to Kathleen, tomorrow, each voter will receive a slip notating that the tax impact is changed on Article 23 and 24. 23 should actually be 28 cents per thousand. 24 should be 5 cents per thousand. They were incorrect on the ballot, so they will be notified prior to voting.
I saw that announcement, it moves to the.
That was Article 24. I was just made aware Article 23 was incorrect as well. I don't know if any of you have seen, but we do have a position opening for the town building custodian. She recently tendered her resignation due to personal reasons. So I posted that position that covers both town hall, PD and AES, the preschool. And just a notice to those who are watching, town clerk office will be closed tomorrow for voting. Reopening on Wednesday. That's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other business before we get to our,
I did wanna ask about, who's gonna be at the polls of us tomorrow and when.
I am going to be doing a full day after all, I spoke with Judy and all. I arranged to take the time.
Yeah, I'll be there
The whole day.
6:30 AM to.
I can only do the afternoon. Are you gonna be around, Scott?
yes, in the morning, and in the
Okay.
afternoon, I've got some plans, so.
Okay, so if you're there in the morning, I'm there, That'll be a farm that we.
Yeah, the Secretary of State folks, they usually come get a one, usually. So,
Yeah. They
yeah,
ask.
yeah,
Come forward. Now, what do I still have this elected pro tem for the morning if I'm not there, there's a former?
You can, if you want, I don't think we have to.
In the passage, they come for the seat. But you never know.
understand. Any other business? Is that it before we start our business? I've got to read some stuff into the record here, so. First and foremost, we've got three requests for abatements here. Evan has already evaluated them and recommends that we deny. But the first is from Thomas Killen at 30 Notre Dame Avenue. And he's seeking an abatement. As a basis for the abatement, he states, paying for schools with my property tax is unconstitutional for New Hampshire state constitution. That's all he says, and you can see on all three of them. And I'll read the other two as well. New Hampshire law authorizes only two grounds for granting a tax abatement: disproportionality of the assessment or property, poverty, and inability to pay. So, second is from Philip J. LaPlante, 316 Deerfield Road. He filed for an abatement on his 5.066 acre unimproved vacant lot, estates at 72,200. As basis for an abatement, they state the abatement concerns the collection of school portion of the tax bill. In 1850, the state voted to fund schools by donation, not a tax. It was voted down in 1836. And the last is from Timothy A. Silverdale of Five Pool Avenue. And this is for the property located at map 112, lot 234, sub to 5 Pool Ave. Taxpayers filed for an abatement on his 816 square foot condominium assessed at $212,100 as basis for the abatement. They provided an attachment A constitutional grounds for abatement. I seek abatement of the education portions of my 2025 property tax bill. A statewide education, the swept tax, statewide education property tax on the grounds that this education portion of the property tax levied against the undersigned is unconstitutional, unlawful, and constitutes a taking without consent in violation of Part 1, Articles 1, 2, 4, 8, 10, 12, 14, and 15 of the New Hampshire Constitution.
So Evan advised that we deny appropriate. He does not feel there's any legal standing or any potential legal repercussions as a board we need to be aware of. He says just deny them. I just want to be clear.
Yes, he's recommended that, and it would be a heck of a precedent to set.
Yeah.
Well, I know I've read along in the paper, so I didn't know if there's potential legislation, if something is down the pipe that. But as of the way things stand, there's nothing. And this is deny them, but okay, I'm good with that.
So I moved to the board, as Evan recommends, deny these abatements. Because of the New Hampshire law that authorizes only two grounds for granting tax abatement: disproportionality of the assessment or poverty and inability to pay, excuse me.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
First one.
Kathleen, I.
Diana.
Scott, aye. Next is a notice of intent to excavate. This is from Armin and Claudette Burvo. This is page tax map 406, block 11 on Dodge Road. Intent to excavate 10,000 cubic yards and he has paid his fee. recommended for a long time.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I should wait. It's an excavation permit from Armin and Claudia River. It's on Dodge Road, tax map 406. Block 11. They're gonna excavate 10,000 yards. And they say 50. Yes, there is.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Question.
Kathleen, I.
Diana.
It's aye. If you have intent to cut wood or timber. This is wrong.
Are Longden,
Okay.
Mhm.
This is
lot 109-021,
Yeah.
on Parkwood Road.
That's in Deerview. Behind Deerview Crossing.
Trying to see how much. Okay, 50 acres. He has paid his fee. I move it, we,
You don't have to make a motion. Intent to cut. You do need to identify where it is from.
Okay, this intent to cut is,
B. Iolazi, lot 108-003. Tebow sand and gravel.
I think I'm just fine. Thanks, John.
You read this one, you said Parkwood Road. This one's from- that's awesome.
and next up is an elderly exemption for Mr. Martin Kester.
The veterans credit. They checked it, but they didn't provide any explanation, so they were thinking approved. Is the veterans credit.
Okay,
It's in the record. This is it.
veterans credit. Applied for by Martin Kester of 18 Clearview Drive. And Kevin has it, says he meets all the statutory requirements.
In the amount of. Second page.
The amount of $500. Okay. So,
That does take a motion.
all right. I think we approve it.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Tricia.
Kathleen, I.
Diana.
Can I ask you a question? Is it okay?
Okay, go ahead.
It's a quick question. When people put in for like, tax credits on their taxes, like through the assessment office, they have the assessment, Lord, if things change within the household, it would be the responsibility of the owner to inform the town that, say, if they're getting a tax credit for somebody who passed on.
And that's why every 5 years, they do what's called a research, just to make sure in case somebody should forget sometimes, especially in the event of the death of a loved one, someone may forget to notify. So
Well,
every 5 years, they do have to research.
But if somebody's paying 300 and they should be paying 1,500, that's 5 years is a long time to wait for some accountability. So I
Yeah,
just didn't know how that is, you do that like what is the best thing? Cause it's happening, you know, and that just impacts the budget, impacts everything. It would be nice to have an honest system, but. You know. Hopefully for the most part, that is what happens.
Well, in some states it works, in most states.
Thank you, I didn't mean to interrupt, please.
All right. Next is a yield tax levy directing Jacqueline Tate to collect the amount of $5,234.89 for timber removed. I believe this was from. Yeah, map 47 lot 28 Everett State Park. This needs our signature. You said that first. Sign.
Second that,
All.
yeah.
And Kathleen, I.
I have a question, I know that there was some change in New Hampshire legislation regarding veterans property tax credits recently.
That's why there's a warrant article on this year's ballot.
Yeah, okay,
They're no longer allowing what they call stacking.
yeah.
If you qualify for the regular $500.
That was that, but I want to get it, okay.
Yeah. So we're.
Did you mean to send a spreadsheet? Cause the second email you sent me was sent out was the same document as before.
I did mean to send you a spreadsheet. I think it's because of how I had them labeled, I probably just wasn't, but yes, I can send that to you.
Do that.
Of the.
All the spreadsheet.
Yes, I saw it
Yeah,
in the information that Don sent us to. I didn't see
You
your
have-
email, but I
You
saw
have
it.
spreadsheets from everywhere.
and then the one that was like more of the written form.
Yeah.
Also was updated as a result of your email to me, so whatever one you had, you can just toss it and this is the most current. Yep,
The last thing we have here is the decision-making worksheet that you had worked on, Diane, and I think. Trish, you wanted more time.
Yeah, he did have a number of questions on it actually. So. Again, I'm going back to what I originally thought was this was something that we would allow people to fill out and submit to us, so we're completing this?
That
With
is,
what information?
Yes.
So how do we get this information that we put in this?
well, that's when we're faced with a decision, like a, substantial decision. Then we answer those questions so we can weigh, the information in both directions and determine. Hey, this sounds like a good idea, what are we impacting, what's the process, who's the process owner, so they can weigh in. And then, is it so important that we're willing to accept some risk with a group of people or a department?
So
It's for us to
procedurally,
use.
it makes sense for the person who's presenting the problem for us to decide on. To complete a good portion of this, but they're gonna have those answers, like defining what the issue is.
Right, it's
For
not
which functional area, all those different questions.
Sure.
Would come. Those would be filled in by the department head or whoever, right?
whoever the applicable people are, fill out the applicable sections, and then it gets discussed and. Possibly changed as we go down the path of making a decision.
Sure. Okay,
And
and
it's up to us when we wanna use it. I mean, we wouldn't use this.
Well, and that's-
Decision,
that's
certainly.
my next question is, how do we decide when to use it?
Well, if it's got a large financial impact, say, or if it impacts a large group of people in town, or if it substantially impacts an department, then
Yeah,
so we decide to
yes,
use it.
could be included as a guideline to how and when to use this and timelines. Like,
Well, I
If
mean,
it's
I mean,
presented-
that's up to us to decide that. I don't wanna put too many restrictions around it, then it becomes cumbersome to use.
You know, I would prefer a guideline on how this is used, when it's used, and.
I don't wanna make it too restrictive, because then if we put a guideline as to when it's gonna be used, and then we collectively decide, you know what, we don't need it for this. Well, I don't wanna be breaking our own rules.
And I would say as board members, it's not a law, none of us are obliged to use this at all, at any time, any point in
It's
time,
just
any
there.
board member could say, no, I'm not participating in that.
I get that now.
But to me, I would think if any board member felt the decision was of a nature where we really should be using this, they could propose it and say, how about we use that outline? And again, at any point, like if you didn't want to, you could say, no, I have my own decision-making mechanism. It's just there,
It's
it's
just
available.
take it out of the toolbox or leave it in the
Actually,
toolbox.
regulate these types of forms, like once we vote this in as a form in our docket form.
Yeah.
What's the RSA regulating on it? Is there any?
It's our own forms, just like we've got our own rules of procedure, we've got our own, you know, working on one for zoning board, planning board, it's at the town level.
So there are RSA's on, select board procedure.
Well, there's some select board procedures, but the towns can develop their own as they see fit.
Sure, within the guidelines of that RSA.
Sure.
Okay, that's, I mean.
I mean, as
my
we go through the
recommendation
process, if, you know, as we go through the process, if we decide, oh, you know, there's 3 RSA's that pertain to whatever we're talking about, then that would be part of collecting the data so that we can review it, so that we don't, you know, not follow an RSA.
Yeah, not against using it, I just would prefer a more robust guideline to the purpose and timing of it.
Do you have notes there? I mean, I could look at it and
I mean,
see if it makes sense, but I don't wanna make it too restrictive.
I like that it's a good starting point to get people thinking and talking about the issue.
Yeah,
That even if
exactly.
they start using this and veer off on another path, like whatever, I think it
Or
helps people really
Yeah.
start to.
Or we start using it and then we say, you know, let's add this, that, and that.
Yes.
Cause you don't know until you start using something, if it's, you just have to start somewhere.
And every problem is unique too.
Exactly.
You may realize, hey, there's something.
Exactly. And some of those sections may not always apply. It's
Yeah.
just to help us make sound decisions and make sure we you know, weigh in all the different possibilities and the groups of people affected. And I think the other plus to it is the output of that would be, here's our decision, here's how we made the decision, and here's why. Because some people, you know, that most people get the outcome. It's like, oh, the board of selectmen decided this. Well, but sometimes it's important, so, you know, they can see our thought process and how we went through it, and how we arrived to that decision. And then people are like, oh yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
You know? That's what I would say.
So do you wanna give your notes to Diane so she can make improvements, or do you wanna?
I'll email, this is chicken
Okay.
scratch, only I understand, when I give myself notes, it's like 3 words, so 3 months, I know what thoughts were. So, yeah.
Okay.
Alright.
So tabling that tonight?
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe I should turn this off.
There's one public notice here from Merrimack County that received it on the 23rd. Pursuant to RSA 24:9-C and RSA 24:14, Part 2, notice is hereby given that a public hearing for Merrimack County would be held before the Merrimack County delegation at 10 a.m. on Friday, March 6th, 2026. We're already past that.
Yeah.
Never mind.
In the consent calendar, I just wanted to point out, I included the audit report for the community center was completed and submitted. I gave it to you and each of your folders to review. This might be a great tool to start with if we reform an energy committee to start looking at some of these suggestions and when and if we could start pressing some.
Yeah. Eversource provided this,
Yes.
say put Jeffrey in the action.
Right, and we will get another one of these for the new town hall building as well.
Okay.
Did we go out to them and request this?
Yes, I did.
Usually you have to. They come out and do it on their own.
Thank you.
Alright,
And the suggestions that are in this, just to make sure, are those things, improvements, adjustments that could be funded out of capital reserve?
Yes. We have a building maintenance repair
Yeah.
capital reserve, which is what I would,
What,
but I would think a subcommittee would have to look at cost and what we can afford and phasing in some of these changes.
but that could help us with our arguments to the voters to ask them to fund capital reserve.
Some of these things are very low hanging fruit, not a lot of cost, but a good return.
Yeah.
yeah, there's 2 pages specifically.
I'll make a motion to ratify the consent calendar of March 9th, 2026.
Second,
All in favor,
Trish, I.
Kathleen, I.
Diane, I.
Scott,
Make a motion to accept the public minutes of, it's February 9th in my hand with the.
This is 24.
Should be the 23rd. I may have given you the wrong.
Okay. Do we vote on it?
Sign two places.
Sign it electronically.
Yes.
Okay, make a motion to accept the minutes of February, although did we get those? I mean,
You may not have.
yeah, so maybe we hold on.
Yeah.
Make a motion to accept the 2026 pet manifest -208. And the town payroll manifest of March 5th, 2026.
I'll second that.
Trish, I.
Kathleen, I.
Diane,
Scott. Last motion, any other business before the board this evening? I move it be adjourned at 7:27 P.M.
second,
All in favor?
Trish, I.
Kathleen, I.
Diane, I. So, I'm ready. Time, so I.
Diane says, no, I want to stay on, I say, I think we.